right, thank you for joining us. My name is Kelvin Nyakundi. Now, the Kenya Electricity Transmission Company, KETRACO, will, moving forward, allow telcos, broadcasters and other communication service providers to leverage its infrastructure in their delivery to connectivity around the country. Now, this by leasing their infrastructure to industry players. This venture comes in the wake of a push for state agencies and corporations to become financially viable and be weaned off by the exchequer.
In order to meet the challenges of power in the country, KETRACO specifically was set up to meet some objectives. One of them is to ensure that we can have reliable power, and the higher the voltage, the more reliable the power is. So at that time, when we were formed approximately 15 years ago, a lot of towns in Kenya were either being supplied using the medium voltage lines once by Kenya Power, or we also had those isolated diesel generators. For example, Garissa and Lamu are good examples. So what KETRACO did is to have a transmission line going all the way to these areas. So secondly, what happened is that first, apart from reliability, the second thing is the amount of energy. Because the smaller lines, you have anything like 20 megawatts available to our town. But when you take a high voltage lines, the minimum is 80 megawatts all the way to 2,000 megawatts. So there was more reliable power because our lines operate at more than 99.9% availability. Then amount of power was almost more than actually doubled, tripled, or maybe 100 times more available. So that's what we're basically doing. The other thing is reduce losses, because definitely losses are one of the biggest cost elements in your bill. Is anytime we build our lines, we reduce losses because the higher the voltage, the losses are reduced. So we displace the use of long distribution lines by Kenya Power by having them shorter lines and more reliable. So that's what we're doing, just to meet the needs, to give you more reliable power, give you more adequate power, reducing losses, and so that you can actually either run less on your diesel generators at home, or you don't have to run with candles. That's what you're basically doing to meet the challenges. Currently, our business model that we use, we actually move on dark fiber. So it's a big players like Safaricom, the big telecommunication companies that lease whether it's one or two cores. They light it, then they're able to now do the last mile to reach each and every person. So that's what. So we are basically providing, as my colleague said, the highway for anybody, especially of a certain size, being able to take advantage of our grid. So that's the model we currently do. But in future, we definitely, especially to support the FM radio stations, we see ourselves coming to be able to light some cores so that we can actually bring them together under same core and reduce the cost of power. So we see ourselves moving in that direction. But currently, there's somebody between ourselves and the last consumer in terms of Safaricom and other telecommunication companies. Our fiber, unlike most of our colleagues and other players, rides up on the transmission line. So because of that, it's safe, it's reliable. We don't have much incidents that occur onto it. But again, since our lines cut across, our transmission lines don't always follow the main road or pass through towns, we actually enter into the down where people actually live in. We see it make it very easier for the government to be able to tap from areas where we have where they can tap from the fiber. So we give that additional preference that was not there before, because most of the underground cables are running along the main road. So as we pass right in between different areas, so we see our government actually right in there, and there are 100,000 kilometers a plan will actually reach more areas than what we had anticipated earlier.
Right now, Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi has intimated that Kenya will remain at the forefront